dedicated to each and every one of you who appreciate a great glass of wine. You know what I mean?
It's Monday. Let's raise a glass to the beginning of another week. It's time to unscrew, uncork, or saber a bottle, and let's begin exploring the wine glass. Today, I am virtually taking you to Italy, where the Prosecco flows and the food is phenomenal. I seriously don't think there is any place on this earth that has better food than Italy. Today, we are talking about Val D'Oca, a cooperative winery that was established in 1952. The cooperative was created by 129 founding members in order to revive the economy after it was devastated by World War II. The Zoom meeting was hosted by Susannah of Vigneto Communications. We spoke with Lorenzo Rispoli, expert manager of Val'dOca, learned how to make Prosecco cocktails with Amy Zavatto, author, journalist, Prosecco Made Me Do It, 60 seriously sparkling cocktails, and we drooled over Silvia Baldini's chef-owner of strawberry and sage risotto. There is a lot happening in this episode, so I hope you enjoy. Sláinte! Hey everybody, I'm Lori Budd, a UC Davis winemaking program, Som Day Service, and WSET Level 2 graduate. You can find Exploring the Wine Glass on all the socials, as well as your favorite podcast catchers. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to swipe, subscribe, rate, and review. I promise I'll never tell you what to drink, but I'll always share what's in my glass.
Welcome to the heart of the Prosecco Superiore. The Cantina Produttori di WWII is proud to be part of the history of an area with a natural vocation for viticulture. It was formed as a cooperative company in 1952, in line with the wishes of 129 founder members who decided to unite their forces following the devastating consequences of the Second World War and create what is today one of the zone's most representative wineries, with no less than 600 members. Its terroir is one of the company's major strong points. The members, who have taken care of this outstanding area for generations, continue through their work to protect this special landscape, today recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Skillfully combining its profoundly agricultural origins with a far-sighted, modern, entrepreneurial vision, the Cantina has always represented a model for sustainable Prosecco production. It cultivates 1,000 hectares of vineyards between Val d'Oca and Asolo, including some in the premium Cartizza and Riva zones. The members are constantly involved in programs to update and improve their vineyard management, which has led to the company earning both National Quality System for Integrated Production and Viva Sustainable Viticulture certifications. Courageous, forward-thinking business decisions have generated great enthusiasm, guiding the Cantina towards its future as a 4.0 winery. In May 2018, the new logistics facility was inaugurated. An avant-garde, fully automated warehouse that can contain up to 7,000 pallets, with 2 stacker cranes and 5 shuttles. Here, the bottles rest, lulled by Gregorian chants broadcast at 432 Hz, ready to go on sale. In 2020, the new photovoltaic plant, composed of 1,548 solar panels, has come into use. With nominal power of 495.36 kilowatts and an estimated annual production of around 520,000 kilowatt-hours, the plant will render the logistics facility self-sufficient, powering all the operations of the futuristic automated warehouse. 16,500,000 kilos of high-quality grapes are produced, which are then transformed into 15 million bottles, distributed between Italy and no fewer than 50 countries abroad. In 2012, for retail sales direct to the public, the wine centre was opened. This is now the site of the shop and a location for various events. The company's mission is today, as it was from the very beginning, to highlight the value of the grapes supplied by its members by preserving their quality, from the vine to the harvest, from delivery to the winery to vinification, and from bottling to the glass, for an exceptional quality Prosecco.
Well, that's the closest I can get us to Italy today. I wish I could take us all on a bus or, a ship and get us closer, but that's about as close as I can get you. So welcome to the people who just joined. I saw Wanda and Marnie and other people. So Lorenzo, do you want to take it away and talk a little bit about the winery?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Susannah, and thank you for invitation and organizing this. So, about our winery, we are a cooperative winery based in Val d'Oca, which is again the core product for Prosecco. It is 600 grape growers, so 600 small families that for generations have tended their vineyards. We start 129 grape growers, and it evolved to the today group of 600, most of which are in Val d'Oca or surrounding area, and we have been witnessing the development of Prosecco, and we have been proudly part of the development of Prosecco from a local wine to the today international bestseller wine. About Prosecco, what is Prosecco? First of all, Prosecco is a denomination. So it is a wine made in a specific region following a number of rules. And it is not just one denomination, but it is more than one, two, three, several, and the difference is given by the producing area of the grapes. So, for example, Prosecco DOC today is produced in Veneto and Friuli, which is really a big area with different, totally different terroirs, different climate conditions. And then we have Val d'Oca, Prosecco Superiore, Conegliano Val d'Oca, Prosecco Superiore, which is produced only in the area between the two towns of Conegliano and Val d'Oca, which is around 5,000-6,000 hectares of vineyards. Our winery is based right in the middle of this area, right in the middle of the traditional producing area, by the fantastic hills that we have been were awarded in 2019 and were recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage, as a cultural landscape. What does it mean, cultural landscape? It means that the UNESCO awarded the interaction between man and nature. The men have been designing the hills with vineyards, and we have seen them on the video. They are very nice, and in the area you can see vineyards, forests, and small picturesque villages. No big buildings. It's all following the original landscape, the original nature of the area. So it has been awarded the sustainable development of the area. The same vision is shared by Val'dOca, which is making many efforts towards sustainability and applying sustainable practices in the vineyards and also in the winery. And the result was published this year with our first sustainability report, which is basically a formal document showing what has been done to comply with the United Nations 2030 agenda for sustainability. At the same time, is fixing the targets for future development with the mission of doing a great wine, safeguarding at the same time the environment.
Can we just talk about that for just 1 second, Lorenzo? Because I just want to make sure that that's clear to everybody. So They did an annual report, which is a sustainable budget, and very few wineries do them, and very, very few cooperative wineries do them. I believe you were the first in the Veneto. Is that right?
I'm not sure exactly, but for sure one of the first, yes.
One of the first. So, and they follow the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals from the 2030 goals, the new goals. So it's really interesting, and should anybody be interested, of course I have information about that. But it's a very interesting part of their cooperative, all of that attention to sustainability. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. No problem. And what makes Prosecco made in Val d'Oca superior is just it is a combination of factors. It is the fantastic terroir that we have seen, made of steep and inaccessible vineyards. It is the unique microclimate that we have, and the richness of the terroir. Actually, we have cold winds coming from the Alps, and warmer winds coming from the Adriatic Sea, and the meeting point is in the hills of Val d'Oca. So this is also helping in having the best conditions to make a Prosecco. We are a cooperative winery, so we have vineyards in different areas, and with this we have the possibility of producing different qualities and different denominations. In the United States, we are distributing, we are exporting 4 different wines. We have the DOC Prosecco, this one, from the DOC area, the Val d'Oca DOCG, then the Val d'Oca Prosecco Superiore Rive di San Pietro di Barbosa. The Rive is also an interesting concept because it is made with, it's a kind of single village, let's say, so a few vineyards around the San Pietro di Barbosa village. And this concept was created by the Tutelari Consortium in 2010. They identified 43 smaller areas where there are the best conditions to grow the Glera grape. It should be very steep vineyards, and it gets the sub-denomination Rive. Indeed, the word Rive in the local dialect of Val d'Oca means steep vineyard. In those vineyards, we can speak of heroic viticulture. The management of the vineyards and the pickup of the grapes is made entirely by hand, for necessity, because there are great gradients and machines cannot go there. And again, with a great terroir, and this concept of Rive is made to show, to reflect the character of that specific terroir. So we can say that this wine shows the personality of that terroir, and it is nice that you can move from one hill to another one. You can follow and try different rivers, and you will find that each of them has different nuances. Our winery is currently making 5 different rivers, which is quite. The 4th wine is that we are exporting to US is a rosé sparkling wine, and this is a great wine, for example, for the summer. And for next summer, this will become, or anyway, for the next year, this will become Prosecco Rosé, which is a totally a new denomination because it was just approved a few months ago, and we will soon be launching this in the United States as well.
Can I ask you a question about the Prosecco Rosé? Because I think people are interested in the Prosecco Rosé. I know Debbie just asked a question. So you've been making the Prosecco DOC Rosé for a while, but are there changes that need to be added so that it becomes a DOC? Like, what are the new rules that make it different starting from January? Are there,
Sorry, I didn't hear everything, but I understand the question.
Do you understand the question?
Yes.
What's changed? What's changed from what you were making, what you make today, to what you'll be making in January?
Yeah. So what we used to do before was just a sparkling wine. It did not exist a rosé sparkling wine. It did not exist a denomination. Now it exists. So it means that there is a disciplinary that regulates the production of a rosé wine that we can call now Prosecco. There are a lot of rules. The blend, the admitted blend, which should be between a minimum 85% of glera
85%
and
okay.
Pinot Noir. So Pinot Noir maximum 15%. It has been fixed that it must be in the autoclaves for second fermentation. It has been fixed the yield per hectare obviously for the glera, but also for the Pinot Noir. The Pinot Noir must be originating from the region, and it should be to make certified to make a Prosecco. So a number of rules and limitation to on one hand limit the production, and on the other hand improving, making sure that the quality will be high quality, just like the Prosecco.
So Lorenzo, Amy's asking, is Pinot Noir the only red grape that's allowed in the 15%?
Yeah, at the moment, yes. At the moment, yes.
At the moment, yes. Are there other red grape varieties that grow in your area that may be included in the future? Ci sono degli altri? Forse fra qualche anno ci saranno?
Yes, they have been speaking many, that there were wineries who wanted to do something, and other wineries some other grapes. At the end, it was the Pinot Noir, which I believe is a very good choice.
Does anybody have any other questions about the rosé? I know it's kind of all the rage lately. Anyone have a question about rosé? No. All right, I don't see any more questions. So you know what? Let's hop over to Silvia and find out what she's thinking about Prosecco and cooking. Wait, the rosé text sheet indicates white wine. Is glera the only white wine in the rosé? Is glera the only white grape that's in the rosé wine, Lorenzo?
Yes, sure.
Yes, Martin. Yes. Thank you for asking that question. So Silvia, tell us about how you use Prosecco in the kitchen.
Okay, well, so first of all, hello to everybody. Happy holidays. I hope you guys are great. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I love cooking on camera, so this is really fun, and I love drinking even more. So, hey, what a great combination. So I love using bubbly and Prosecco in cooking. Actually, I was born in Torino, and I spent quite a lot of time in Torino, Milano, and actually in Vigneto and all the north. So I'm very much a mountain girl and an Alp girl and a Dolomite. And I love the ingredients from those regions. Prosecco is very much part of something that I grew up with. And usually people associate cooking with Prosecco with dessert, which is great. You can make great zabaions or creams or infuse fruits or cakes or mostly I love it in zabayon. But because of the sparkly flavor, because of the nuances of sweetness and acidities, I personally think it combines very well with seafood and with vegetables. It just brings a really great level of different acidities the wine would. It's just a different kind of, it's a little more acidic for me. And the sparkle dies down, but I think when you cook with it, you can almost get a retroactive bubble in your food. Risotto for me England, which is an amazing seafood kind of land. And right now, scallops are in season, as are lobsters. And I feel the scallops go really, really well. They're so sweet, and the contrast is fantastic. So I'm going to be showing you a risotto that is super simple, and it gets deglazed with Prosecco. I already opened one of them. I happen to love this one for cooking. I have my glass here. You don't need much to deglaze the risotto. You need about like a glass, but the best part is that you can drink the rest. And as a chef and a cook, I always appreciate. The other way we use this, this is one of my father's favorite things. He taught me to use Prosecco since I was a child, even before I became a chef, because we would open maybe a couple of bottles of Prosecco, and then, they stay there. The day after is still really perfect for cooking when it's a little flat. Perfect. So it never goes to waste. So I love this cycle. So I don't know if Susannah, you want me to start cooking or you want to pass to somebody else. I can do both.
I wanted to ask you just a question, and then I thought maybe you could start cooking, and then we pass it to Amy, and she could talk about how she likes Prosecco and cocktails. But I wanted to ask you specifically because I listened to Amy give a talk last night at Casa Belvedere in Staten Island, and apart from being fascinated by her cocktails, she brought up something that interested me. Do you find that cooking, you prefer to use the extra dry? Do you prefer to use brut? Does it depend what you're cooking, of course? Is there something that, do you have any rules about that?
No, I think that extra dry probably would be a little bit better for savory and the sweeter one, but not necessarily. I think, for example, I love combining the sweet one with scallops as well because it goes well together. So I think it's a little bit of a try and error, and once you deglaze and you cook it down, and I'll talk about what deglazing means. I think you kind of flatten a little bit the curve of sweetness, and you can use any Prosecco, in my opinion. If it's really, really sweet, but I don't think the Val d'Oca are extremely sweet because they're an amazing quality, so they're not overly sweet in my opinion. They go really well for all sorts of cooking. I do though, don't use the Prosecco for meat or something heavier. I think it really goes well with veggies and a little bit of a lighter and fresher cooking, I think. So I'm gonna start cooking, and then the ingredients for risotto to me are, and then cut me when you want because I can talk for hours. Just cut me off. I love the risotto because it's simple. It's rice, it's a little butter, or if you come from another part of Italy, it would be olive oil, but I prefer butter because I come from Piedmont. And usually a little deglazing, which would be the acidity, and here is the Prosecco, and one or two ingredients. I hate when people stuff the risotto with too many ingredients. I think it's the rice is the star, and then it helps kind of bring out the subtlety of one ingredient. Here would be the scallops, and that's to me when it works. Risotto, people always asking, how long does it take? It takes how long it takes. You need to have it al dente, so it could be 18 to 25 minutes. And al dente has so many different connotations. To me, is when the rice or the pasta is actually soft. I hate when it's too hard. It shouldn't be hard in your mouth, but when you bite into it, it should have a little heart of inside. That it's a little al dente. It's hard, but per se, I feel that it's a very soft mouthfeel. The first taste is very soft and creamy. And then once you bite into it, it should have a little crunch, but just a teeny bit. And I think that's the magic of risotto, learning to stop it before. So I'm starting this one, and I think you can see here I have a little butter. And I chopped an onion. I tend to like either white onion, very sweet, or sometimes I never use red onions with my risotto. I think it's too strong. And you need to have a little patience at this part. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You want to cook the is translucent. That means you want to sweat it, but you never want to burn it. That's a very important step to start your risotto. If you burn your onions, you will have a very unpleasant taste in the whole dish. So this is the first foundation. And like anything that is cooked slowly, it's about adding one ingredient at a time and layering the flavors slowly until they all come together in kind of like a concert. And so you're layering, you're adding, you're tasting, and then your final dish would come together. So while I sweat down the onions, I think you can talk about something else because it's going to take me a couple of minutes, okay?
Sure. So I wanted to just check with Lorenzo my facts here, but extra dry is actually the traditional Prosecco, correct?
Yeah.
In terms of the category, extra dry is the traditional one.
It is the traditional, let's say, yes. Yeah. And in Italy, still it is the most consumed. There is definitely the extra dry. In the export markets, this might be different according to different markets.
So, Amy, do you want to talk to us?
North Europe, for example, they love the drier taste. And somewhere else, Germany, it's more on the extra dry, like Italy. So a little bit of more softness.
So you mean when you say Northern Europe, you mean Scandinavia? They like the very
Scandinavia,
dry.
UK.
Yeah, but the Germans like sweeter, I would imagine. Correct?
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
So, Amy, you want to talk to us about Prosecco and cocktails?
I would love to talk to you about Prosecco and cocktails. It's one of my favorite topics. In 2017, I was very lucky to be able to go to both the DOC and the DOCG for Prosecco on a fact-finding mission because I was writing a book. This book. Yeah, Prosecco.
You have to tell us what Prosecco made you do.
Prosecco made me go to Italy because why not? Why would I not want to go to Italy? But Prosecco made me look a little more deeply into how it's used in cocktails. And when I started developing drinks for this book, it really was hit home to me the importance of looking at the sweetness levels in a particular bottle of Prosecco, because I think a lot of bartenders, and I think most of you people on here are wine people, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how many of you are into cocktails, and I know those worlds don't often collide, but they're my two worlds, and they collide a lot. And for me, it was very interesting. I would go into a bar somewhere, and I'd say, I would like a glass of Prosecco, and I'd say to the bartender, the bartender would go and take out the bottle that he had on hand, and I'd say, what is the sweetness level? And I would be hit with this blank stare, and then they'd pick up their bottle and they'd, I don't know. And it was amazing to me how many professionals don't really think about what they're pouring and how important it is. And when it comes to cocktails, those sweetness levels, and I don't know if I need to review this with everybody, but I'm going to do it anyway, just because why not? And Lorenzo,
absolutely.
Please tell me if I'm incorrect about anything, Lorenzo. I appreciate your expertise. But, in the sweetness levels, natural is 0. There is no residual sugar. And then you have extra brut, which is, I think, 0 to 6 grams per liter. And then you have brut, which is 6 to 12 grams per liter. And then you have extra dry, which is 12 to 17 grams per liter. And then you have dry, which confuses the heck out of everybody, and is 17 to 32 grams per liter. And, those are numbers and facts, and we in the United States don't always deal with grams and things like that. So I kind of decided to think about how that breaks down in terms of what we use. So teaspoons, let's just say, or ounces. A teaspoon is the equivalent of 5 grams of sugar, liquid, and that breaks down to about 1/6 of a fluid ounce. So if you think about like brut style, that's about 1 ounce per liter of residual sugar. Now, the reason that that's important to think about with cocktails is when you think about cocktails, lots of cocktails use modifiers to make themselves a cocktail, not just a simple vodka and tonic or whatever it is you're going to pour. So lots and lots of cocktails use things like simple syrup, for instance. And if you're really looking at your Prosecco and the sweetness level in it, you can almost eschew that completely and just dial in your Prosecco as per your drink. And I was very excited that I was sent this particular bottle because this happens to be an extra dry. And I love that little tiny bit of extra sweetness in the drink that I am going to make for you today, which is called the Dance Party, because don't we all just really need to dance right now? And that's what we're going to do. So it's a rum-based drink that I created that's a riff on the daiquiri, which, my God, don't you just wish you were in a warm place drinking a daiquiri right now? Certainly I do in New York because it's really cold and snowy. Sylvia, do you need me to break back to you? Are you cool? I guess we're okay.
I'm going to show when you. Yeah, I'm gonna show.
You wanna go?
My onion now. I had cheated before. I had already softened my onion, so that's why it's taking so little. But thanks for giving me 2 seconds, and I'll send it right back to you because it's so interesting. And I can't wait to dance. I want to dance my way to the this weekend. So I'm using carnaroli risotto. I have a preference for carnaroli. I just like the amount of starchiness. You could use Giallone Nano, which is a little shorter grain, or Arborio, which is the most common one. I just happen to really like carnaroli. I think he makes a risotto very starchy, and I like that. So one way I learned when I was a child, but then you can measure it, you can get grams, and is one fist is one portion for one person for a primo piatto, not for a large plate, but one piece. So I'm gonna make this for 6. So it's 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the extra one just for fun because people always like seconds. And the important part right now is to toast the rice. And toasting the rice means basically it's like really toasting. It's like making it translucent as well, but also bringing out the starch. When you toast the rice, you release all the starches and you bring out the flavor, the nuttiness of the rice, which is a great flavor. And if you don't toast it, you just boil it, you never get this beautiful taste that is an undernote in risotto. I like to do it for a couple of minutes. I always say when I cook, you look, you smell, but you listen as well. You've got to learn to cook with your ears as well. And when you, as the rice is toasting, you will hear almost little popping noise. And the popping noise just means that it's toasting. It's a little bit like popcorn. Or you can look at it, you can smell it, and when you start, I think we're almost there. I hear it. So what I'm going to do is the start of the day. I'm going to take a little bit more, and I'm going to do a full glass. And what this does is I deglaze, and this is an incredible important step in making risotto because you're giving acidities and you're mixing the starches. Also, the glazing is interesting. You always do it at the beginning of your cooking, reducing the wine. Like you cannot cook something and just dump wine or Prosecco or alcohol at the end because you're not taking the alcohol out of your cooking. So it's incredibly important that you do it and you slowly cook the alcohol out of the dish so you're just left with the aroma. So we're going to do that. It's the best noise of cooking. I hope you hear it. There you go. And that's the noise of Prosecco going in.
So Sylvia, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you two? So I have a question and a comment. So Diane says, in Italy, is the risotto usually a first course? Here, I think we serve it as a main course sometimes, but she's not always sure it works. Do you think of risotto as a first course? Do you think of it as a main course? Does it depend what risotto?
I personally, yeah, it's a good question. I always think that it's as a first course. You know, if you're Italian, you will think of the starch as a first course. But I think as we become modern and we evolve, I think even in Italy, you don't during the week or during the day you don't eat 3 or 4 courses anymore. So it could be a one dish and then a good dessert because otherwise it's not a meal.
So Jeff
Yeah.
is mentioning that you have to make enough risotto to make a risotto fritto for lunch the next day. I'm not sure I even know what a risotto fritto is. What's a
It's
risotto?
delicious. È vero, you have to do make risotto fritto or crocchette di riso with like arancini or whatever. But in my house, it never arrives to the day after.
I was gonna say I think I've never heard of that because in my house there's no risotto left over ever. Nothing's ever left over.
I deglaze and then I'm gonna give it back to Amy. Just one more step. I deglaze. I added a little broth, and I'm gonna be doing that for the next 10-15 minutes. And at this point, I'm gonna also add. I have my scallops, and I have some that are chopped up, and I'm gonna start put them in at this time so that it becomes kind of like the protein and gives flavor to my broth. And then I have some that I'm gonna be putting in at the last moment that I just very nicely sliced. And I'll tell you why I did that. So you guys can take it over. And the important part that you have to just know about risotto is that you have to slowly add and be very patient. Add broth or stock, whatever you want to call it, a little bit at a time and let it absorb. So I'll pass it back to you, Amy.
Oh my God, no! I'm so hungry now, Sylvia. You're killing me.
I know it is killing me.
I'm gonna get in my car and I'm gonna drive to you.
Anytime. When this damn pandemic is over, we need to do this live.
Yes.
And that's the biggest party that we have ever had, the biggest table. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I can't wait for that either. So Nicole is saying that you should be making arancini with the leftover rice that I guess she has in her house the next day. And Gwen says if we have leftovers, I want to try it in a waffle iron. Has anyone ever done that?
Okay, I did that.
That is interesting. That's
Yeah.
very interesting. Have you done that, Gwen? Have you ever tried that? That's interesting. That would not have come to me. I think I'm a little pedestrian in my ideas. Anyway, Amy.
Just
back
really
to you.
quick. It's a thing
Oh.
to take leftover stuffing from Thanksgiving or Christmas or whenever you have stuffing, and you take that leftover stuffing and you put it in the waffle iron and you make waffles with it. So,
Wow.
like if it would work really well with stuffing, I would think it would be really fun with risotto, and I'm gonna try it tomorrow.
That sounds awesome. And I see Nicole was commenting about she's seen it done with mac and cheese. Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. And Robin is making a risotto tonight. It's a thing. Got it. Okay, back to you, Amy. Tell us about your
Okay.
cocktail, the dance party.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Bright light city, gonna set my soul, gonna set my
Did you know that Dracaena Wines has a wine club? We named it the Chalk Club. Draco is on our label, but Vegas was getting a bit jealous, so we decided he deserved to be our wine club spokesdog. In Las Vegas, betting chalk means that you are betting on all of the favorites, and we're gambling that once you taste our wines, we will become one of your favorite wineries. The club is simple, yet a bit different than most. We don't ask for a lot of commitment like others do. Choose between 3 tiers. The Sweet 16, where you'll receive 3 bottles twice a year and get 25% off all orders. Sign up for the Elite 8 and get 30% off all orders and receive 4 bottles twice a year. Or make it to the Final 4 and receive 6 bottles twice a year, as well as receiving 35% off all purchases. All tiers receive discounted shipping, are customizable, and are eligible for unlimited referral bonuses. Add $15 to your bank for each person you refer. Head to www.dracenawines.com or the link in the show notes to find out all the Chalk Club has to offer and to sign up. We've stocked the odds so that you can get our award-winning wines without breaking the bank.
Well, so the dance party is my riff on a daiquiri. So we're talking about rum here, And today I'm using a really beautiful rum that a couple of spirits today that I've discovered recently. This is a craft producer from Louisiana, Black Pearl silver rum. So you want your ice-filled shaker, and you're going to take an ounce and a half of the rum. Now we're going to do 3/4 of elderflower liqueur. And this particular elderflower liqueur is a new one I discovered from this really cool woman, female producer in Texas, of all places. And the color is lovely. I don't know if you can really, maybe I can get that really behind it. It's really, really pretty. So we're going to do about 3/4 of our elderflower. And liqueurs already have sweetness in them, right? So we don't need to add any other sweetness. We're just going to add a little bit of acidity with a 1/2 ounce of fresh lime juice. And please, 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 always use fresh juices in your cocktails. Do not buy that crud in the stores. It's already bottled. Buy a lime. It's super easy. Or a lemon. Right? And now we're going to give a little shake, shake, shake. The sound that everybody misses so much. And I say shake for about 15 to 20 seconds, and just something that everybody should know, what the difference is between cocktails that are shaken and not shaken. Cocktails that have juices are shaken because you want to emulsify them. You want to get them mixed up. You want to get them a little frothy. Cocktails that are spirit-centric, like a Manhattan or a martini, if you shake them, they get what you call bruised. So the alcohol gets all these little shards of ice, and it's really not how the cocktail's supposed to be. So you want to stir them. You want the dilution from the ice, but you don't want them to get cloudy, because then you miss the aesthetic beauty of the cocktail. So remember that. Shake your juices, and don't shake the rest of it. Okay, so now we're going to strain. Ooh, look at the color. It's so pretty. And then we're going to top it with our beautiful Val d'Oca extra dry.
I love that glass. That looks so fancy.
I am
fancy
glass.
Good,
A very
fancy,
big proponent.
Fancy day.
I love antique glassware, and my poor husband, I'll take off or shopping somewhere, and he'll lose me, and it's because I went into some crazy place and found some beautiful glasses, and I'll come out with some bag, and he's like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "Did you buy more glasses?" I'm sorry. So now we're going to take our lime peel. I don't know if you saw me slicing that off with a regular old vegetable peeler. And you see it's like nice and thick. And you're just going to kind of give it a little zip, 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 little rub between your fingers right above your cocktail to express those lovely oils. And here you are, my friends, a dance party.
That looks great.
That looks
great. That looks so fun. So people
Now
are
I'm drinking with you, Sylvia.
both on the drink and on the glass, and people,
Okay.
and they're jealous, and they have questions.
Yes.
So can you write in the chat, please, the name of the elderflower bitters?
Liqueur. Yes,
Or
absolutely.
the elderflower liqueur.
Absolutely.
And then I saw another question. Hold on. And Nicole says she's never heard it broken down so simply. Neither have I. Shaken, not stirred. Yeah, elderflower liqueur. Does anybody else have a question? You can also just unmute yourself and ask Amy directly.
I did see someone ask what cocktail would go well with the scallops. I think somebody asked that earlier in the chat. You know what I might try to do? I might try to, this I think is a little too much. This really should just be on its own, maybe with a little snacky snack. But I might break it down a little bit and do something that's more closer to like a French 75 or something. Just do a little lemon juice for the acidity and the brightness of it, and maybe a little bit of the elderflower liqueur just for that floral character and just a little tiny bit of sweetness, and then top it with the Prosecco. And I think with the sweetness of the scallops and all of those interesting flavors, I think that those two things would kind of be lovely together.
So, Martin would like to know, Amy, if you have any recipes for Prosecco and limoncello.
Yes. Yes, I do. I have one in my book.
Prosecco made me so Yes, Prosecco made me do it. 60 seriously sparkling cocktails.
Yeah, I mean,
available on Amazon.
Really, when it comes to something like limoncello, it's already a liqueur, basically, and it's already delicious. Honestly, like, I would just top it, do maybe an ounce of limoncello. And, I might actually, instead of doing that in a flute, I would probably do it on the rocks, because I think because limoncello is very powerful as opposed to a standard liqueur, which is usually around 60% alcohol. Limoncello is traditionally made, if anyone's ever made it before, with high octane, either vodka or grain alcohol. So that's going to be 80 proof or 90 proof. That's going to be a really high octane, like sock to the jaw. And I would put that on ice, about 1.5 ounces, and top it with Prosecco, and maybe even just a little tiny bit of club soda, just to kind of give it a little more freshness, and a lemon peel garnish.
So Gwendolyn, Diane would like you to reveal your elderflower liquor recipe, please.
No, the elderflower is not my recipe. The elderflower liqueur.
Gwendolyn's recipe. Gwendolyn, do you have a recipe?
Yeah.
Let me see. Sorry.
The first thing I did is about 25 years ago, I planted some elderflower shrubs, which got really, really big. And then the berries get super messy, and the flowers are pretty and messy. And then I found out what they are all good for. And so anyway, you pick the elderflower umbels, and you the same day that you pick them, you want to pick them in the morning preferably. Then I just combine I've done both gin and vodka and sugar. Off the top of my head, how much sugar? A lot. But I did a big quart, not a half-gallon jar, and then mix up the sugar and the alcohol, put in all the flowers, and then I put lemon on top to hold the flowers down, and then let it sit.
I think you have to live in Ventura County, Diane. So you might have to move. I'm not sure you can grow elderflower in Connecticut.
Yeah, well, you know what? Elderflower shrubs are really common all over the United States, but I've never been to Connecticut, so I wouldn't know.
We have them.
You have elderflower. I sit corrected. All right.
Staten Island.
Wow. Her posts are always of this lush vegetation in California, and I'm always envious of the description of, places out there. So Sylvia, does anyone have any more questions for Amy about Prosecco? I mean, we could go on with you all day long. Somebody wants to know, do you have a Prosecco cocktail with passion fruit?
James, I don't have a passion fruit recipe in that book, but you make me think I should create one, because my goodness, do I love passion fruit. I'll work on that, and I will get back to you. And yes, I would love to see you again too.
So, if Sylvia, do you want to go back and tell us what's going on with your risotto?
Yeah. So I think I'm about 5 minutes to being perfect, and this is the perfect time to put butter. And this is a really important step in risotto. It's called mantecazione in Italian. Manteca, is butter, and it's the important step of adding at the end 1 to 4 tablespoons of butter, depending how you feel that day, and that is the creaminess of the dish. And so you add it at the end, because then you finish it, and I'll show you how you finish it. And you put the risotto aside for 5 to 8 minutes. You don't eat the risotto right away, because you want the butter to then cool off a little bit and just, get a little more solid, back solid. So it melts in, it creates the creaminess, and then you just make it that perfect starch, kind of like stickiness that is perfect in risotto. So I can see that at this point, I'm at the point where my broth is almost all, I wait for the stock to be almost all gone. I don't want it to be too liquidy. And I just add, I'd say 1 tablespoon of butter, and I gently mix it in because I'm using seafood and scallop. I'm not using. It's a big discussion in Italy and everywhere. I'm not using Parmesan. Most risottos at this time you would add a cup of Parmesan or Reggiano grated. It's just it doesn't go, in my opinion, with seafood. It does help the creaminess, but I think the flavor is too strong, and it would take away from the beauty of the Prosecco, the acidity, and the sweetness of the scallop. So I don't add Parmigiano when I do seafood risotto. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit of lemon just to add a little extra, just a little bit. And then I tasted before. You always taste it. Don't ever taste with your wood spoon. You have to have a little teeny spoon on the side because otherwise, I don't know, it doesn't work. You put too much in your mouth. You lick the main spoon. You want to have your personal little spoon. It's good. So I tasted it, and I'm gonna add just a little, not too much, a little bit of salt. I'm obsessed with the fleur de sel from Normandy. I think it's just the perfect saltiness, and I just love cooking with this guy. And I put a little bit of black ground pepper, not a lot. And then at this point, I have my raw scallops that I had sliced, and I just put them in, and they will cook very quickly. So I also like them almost like raw, not really raw, but kind of just cooked for a couple of seconds. I turn this off, I set it aside, and I let the magic of risotto when it comes all together. And then I sometimes I like to add herbs and extra spices. For this moment, I just don't want to because I think these two flavors are so good. You could add a little splash extra of just a teeny splash of extra Prosecco right now, just to have a little teeny hit of alcohol. That's up to you. So I'm just gonna turn it off and set it aside, and I'm gonna show it to you. Also, in an era of internet and Instagram where everything is bright and colorful, there is something really beautiful and elegant about having a beautiful white on white dish. I love bringing it in for the holiday. And on my recipe, I also had suggested that you use lobster. It's delicious with lobsters as well. So if you have some of sweet lobster, just go for it and enjoy. So I'm gonna put it in a little cup. I prepared my cup here, and I'm gonna set it aside.
Silvia, I'm just going to ask a couple of questions to Lorenzo that people have asked.
And
Lorenzo. No, to Lorenzo. So Lorenzo, is your cartizze in the U.S.? Not yet, correct? But you do make cartizze.
Not yet, unfortunately not. Cartizze is pretty difficult to propose in the export markets because cartizze is the Grand Cru of our area. It comes just from one hill of 107 hectares, shared by all the producers. So it's a really limited, small production of great quality, but it is difficult to sell it in the export markets because it is also higher in price, and in that category you have other sparkling wines which are more known, and so it's a bit difficult, unfortunately.
So, my second question to you, Amy was asking me, what's the residual sugar on extra dry, and I obnoxiously said, take a guess. I believe, but I don't want to be incorrect. Is it 22 grams per liter?
No, it's less.
Is it 10?
It's 14. It's 14 grams per liter.
14 grams per liter.
Yeah. Which is actually very, very, very nice balance. Indeed, you don't feel it as a sweet wine. It's right in the good balance. It's the balance between acidity, which is typical of Prosecco, and the sweetness.
So a lot of people are making your risotto for holidays. Lauren said she's going to make it for her anniversary. Sharon's going to make it for New Year's Eve. I may make it for New Year's Eve. Very exciting. What a great recipe. So how are we doing? Where are we with your risotto? What's happening?
It's done. I think, it's beautiful. It's perfect. See how easy. I don't know why people think it's so intimidating. I think it's all about just patience and knowing when it's time to take it off from the stove. And, somebody before asked, so I was answering, if you can make it in an Instapot, and yes, you can. I make it all the time. You just need to learn how much liquid you have to put in. And the Instapot tells you to do it for, I think, 11 minutes. I find that it only takes 4 minutes, and then you open it because, it takes so much time to release the steam out that it makes it mushy. So you just have to try a couple of times. But it's a wonderful way if you learn to make it, because then you don't have to stay by the stove and stir it constantly. It takes a couple of fries, I think. So yeah, I think there were other questions, but I can't see them right now.
I didn't see good tips. I make risotto often, and I've never tried the Instapot, says Nicole.
Yeah. Or the pressure cooker works great. Or there's one trick that you do in restaurants where you toast it. You cook it almost till the end, and then you put it on a sheet pan. You take it out, you pull it off on a sheet pan, and then you can go talk to your guests, do whatever you want, and then you can put it back in the pan and finish it at the last moment. So you can try that as well. It works, but it's not as fun as being all around the kitchen, chatting, and making your risotto.
So, Linda says, thank you. Risotto's been so intimidating to me. And yes, Michelle Ciccolone has a slow cooker version of risotto.
Yeah.
We love Michelle.
Yeah.
So we can all unmute ourselves. I don't want to keep anybody over time. It's 2 already. This hour just flew by. I'm starving. I'm dying to eat Silvia's risotto and drink Amy's drink. I don't know about you, and then hop on a plane safely and fly over to the Vigneto and go to Val D'Oca. So please unmute yourselves, and anybody has a question for anybody, please ask it. Lorenzo, what did you think of these? What do you think of our version of cocktails? And well, Silvia's Italian, but so is Amy, actually, of origin at least. And what did you think of, our version of how to use Prosecco here in the States? How does it differ from what you see at home?
First of all, I'd like to thank you and say thank you to Amy and Silvia for these 2 wonderful recipes, which are very, very, very interesting, and I'll try to make myself as well. I'd say that Prosecco is thanks to its crispiness, fruitiness, good acidity is fantastic to make pairings with food, and we can try it. It pairs well with a number of different food, from pasta to fried food, for example, to even to I'm thinking even to bollito misto, which is a typical dish of Veneto region. It's mixed meats and vegetables boiled, and it is great also for making the cocktails, for example, or even with spicy food, which usually are difficult to pair with wine. So this is one of the characteristics that made Prosecco popular in the different markets. And sometimes we can also try different Prosecco according to different food, fish or pasta or risotto, and try different combinations with different Proseccos.
I I have a couple questions.
Yeah, anybody. Anything.
So, okay, in the video, it sounded like they talked about that they play Gregorian chant.
I know, honestly, until I listened to that video, and I've worked with them for 2 years or a year and a half, I had no idea. So let's hear about that. You play Gregorian chants?
Especially with the holidays, it seems
I know, fun. Can you talk about that, Lorenzo?
Yeah. You should come and experience that.
Yes, I should.
Yeah, they say that that the music is helping with the wine, but I'm not sure. I don't know actually, but yes, it is. In the warehouse, you can listen. You can listen that music. Yes.
So that music is on all the time in the production facility?
No, not in the production. It's in the warehouse. Yes,
in the warehouse.
Yes.
So where the wine is waiting to come to us, it's listening to Gregorian chants while it's hanging out. It's like elevator music for Prosecco, right?
That's a good one. But I had no idea that. Have you always done that at Val d'Oca? Is that new, Lorenzo? Is that something new?
No, but a couple of years. And,
That's so interesting. Yes, good for you for picking that up.
So I have another question. So there's always, when people talk about growing glera, how steep, and in the video it really showed how steep it is. And so how steep is it? I mean, what's the actual gradient? What's the rise to run? What's the mathematical average? Is it 1 to 1?
I don't have the average, but it can reach 70 degrees actually.
70 degrees. Okay.
In the steepness area.
Okay.
And
great.
it's pretty. It's really nice to see. It's you have in the steepness part you have to climb. And for example, we need 800 hours of manpower for 1 hectare annual in the steepness part against 150 in the flat area, for example. So there's a lot of work and a lot of difficulties and a lot of passion behind that.
And when they harvest, they have to go 1 row at a time, right? And then they do the entire row, very backbreaking work, and then they walk to the next row, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Because it's only like a meter or something, a meter and a half space, right, between one row and another. The photos are crazy, actually, of how they have to harvest, and so it's all hand harvested on those hills. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of wine. Grandissimo grazie a tutti voi. Thank you.
Buon Natale.
Buon Natale.
Oh yeah.
This has been another episode of Exploring the Wine Glass. Thanks for listening. If you have suggestions on what topics you would like me to discuss, please reach out on social media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Exploring the Wine Glass. I am also on LinkedIn as Lori Hoytbud. Of course, you can always email me at exploringthewineglass@gmail.com. If you enjoyed what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe to help others find me more easily. And most importantly, tell your wine-loving friends, because if you like the podcast, they will too. Music is Wine by Keyvens. Until next week, sláinte.